Hey guys, so today I'm going to be walking you guys through how I take someone from their fill appointment from the beginning till the end and the finished product. In the very beginning of every lash appointment, whether it's a fill or a full set, I always start off by washing their lashes. I do a regular, what I call a lash bath. So I have them close their eyes and I use my soap. I use the Prolong cleanser concentrate and I put it in these foam pump bottles, and I just take like one big pump, uh, and I lather it through their lashes. Most of my clients know to come to their appointment with no makeup on, but this is really just to ensure that I get every single last bit of oil or sweat, makeup, whatever type of residue could be left over from the, whether it was the night before or even earlier that morning, depending on what time their appointment is. I just make sure I do this every time. I cleanse them really thoroughly and I rinse them really well, which is really important. The rinsing part is probably one of the most important parts of this part of the service, because if you don't rinse off all of that cleanser really, really well, any soap residue left over on the lashes or even on the lower lash line, it's going to eventually transfer and gonna prevent the bonding of the extension to the natural lash. So that part's really important. And then once I finish cleansing them, I kind of just go through and brush them really gently. You don't want to brush them too vigorously when they're wet, but I kind of just tidy them up. And then I'll go in with my bladeless fan and I'll brush through them. And I don't think I got a really good clip of myself doing that, but I was actually blow drying them here just to speed up the process. You can let them air dry and then brush them out if you want, but again, like, this is during their appointment, so I try to speed up the process by using the bladeless fan. And then I go through and brush through the lashes, and if there's any that are kind of like stuck together or overlapped, that's where I'll do that. Oh yeah, you kind of got a glimpse of the fan right there. So at this point, her lashes are super clean and dry and brushed through, and that's when I'll go in and I actually use foam. Right now, I'm really liking using the 3M sensitive skin foam tape for the under eyes. I like it because I can customize it for each person's under eyes. If they have really round eyes, I can curve the indented part like even more, or if they have more almond eyes, then I don't have to cut the tape that much. So I like the way I like to do it. It's to have them open their eyes, and then I place the tape down, and then I'll go in with the white tape that I really like that's on my website as well, and I'll tape down the inner and the outer corners. That's just the way that I like to do it. I find that putting the foam tape on the bottom helps keep the eye completely like closed off so no fumes get in, and it also is a lot more gentle on the lower lashes than like the just if I were just to do the tape alone. Some of you might wonder why I do the tape if I do the foam tape. That's why. I just feel like the foam tape is the most gentle and it doesn't tug on the lashes when I take it off. So I've checked already if there's any lashes sticking out, and there's not. And I'm going to go in with my half second to 1 second black lid adhesive. This is for people who are a little bit more advanced, or if you're doing volume. Even if you're just learning volume, you want to use a quicker glue, because if you use a slower drying glue like my gold lid adhesive, which takes 2 to 3 seconds, sometimes your fans can close up. Right here, what I'm doing is I'm taking off all of the old um, strips of lashes from her previous appointments, and I'm going to replace them with brand new strips from the tray on her. I like to use a mix of 0.03 and 0.05 diameter lashes. She has pretty long natural lashes, but they're not super strong, so I don't really like to use 0.07s on her because that can quickly get a little bit too heavy. And she does like them longer, especially because she does have a little bit of a deep set eye, and her eyes are pretty round. Like she has, I tell her she has Betty Boop eyes. So we go a little bit longer since they're deeper set, and her lashes can handle it as long as I go a little bit lighter of a lash. Like I said, 0.03 and 0.05. And as you can see here, I like to place the lashes on the tile, the ceramic tiles. Some people use, I mean, I also have the faux agate, they're technically resin tiles that have like the gold trimming. Those ones work really well too. I just like these because they just hold more lashes on them. And you can also place the lashes, like I've seen people do it on the back of their hands and on the back of, or even on people's forehead. But I personally like doing it to the, I don't know, maybe because I'm right-handed, it's just easier for me to place the lash strips on a ceramic tile to the right. It just makes it really convenient for me when I am making my fans. For classic, sometimes I'll put it on the back of my hand, but the first thing I do whenever I put new trays down, even if they're not brand new strips, I always brush through the lashes from left to right and then back and forth. I make sure that the strip is secured really well down, so that way when I'm lifting up especially when I'm doing mega volume, when you're lifting up a really large chunk, sometimes you can pull up the whole strip with it, with that chunk of lashes if it's not secured well. So when I'm brushing them, I'm also kind of pushing down on the strip. So it's fluffing them up, it's gonna make it a lot easier for me to make my fans. I think this is like a really staple, like it's a staple part of the process. If you don't do this and you're struggling with making fans, struggling with them opening up wide, you should try doing that little step that I just did, because you'll notice that it makes them fan a lot easier. So when I just finished mixing my glue, like I said, you didn't see it on the camera, but when you drop your glue drop into your ring or wherever you're putting it on a jade stone, you always um, want to make sure that your glue is completely upside down, like a 90-degree angle. It's completely adjacent or perpendicular, I'm sorry, to the floor or to whatever you're dropping it on. If it's tilted to the right or to the left at all, you're gonna reintroduce more air, because you're actually having to apply more pressure than if you're just if it's straight down. If the nozzle is straight pointed down, you're going to get mostly gravity that's bringing the glue drop down, as opposed to the air being introduced into the bottle. So that's why I do it that way. And so here I'm going in and I'm kind of just looking for um, where I was kind of looking at where I can see like the different lengths. Sometimes I skip like a size or two so I can tell like exactly where the lengths were. And so she used to get more of like a doll wispy eye, but lately she's been asking me to transition her over to a cat eye. So today we're doing a pretty long, not too dramatic, but a longer-ish cat eye. I couldn't go too long on that outer corner yet because I'm still transitioning her from the doll eye to the cat eye. And that can't always be done, depending how many are left over from the last appointment. That can't really always be done like that easily. It's a bit of a process to get there. Just like getting from a classic set upgraded all the way up to a mega volume set, it's going to take a few appointments. You're not going to get it on the very first one because there's still going to be classic lashes left over. So here I am going through and I'm removing all of the outgrown ones, any that are sticking out, or that maybe like now that it's been a little while they've kind of twisted to the left, or maybe maybe they're just a little bit too crooked for my liking. Maybe when I first placed them they looked okay, but now I'm going to be removing them. I'm sorry I didn't get a really good shot of how I remove them. I'll try to make a separate video where I do a close-up of exactly how to remove the grown out extensions or crooked extensions from the natural lash. But this particular video is mostly just showing you like the step-by-step process. I'm not really going in too much depth with exactly how I do every step, but if you do want to know like how I like to remove the grown out extensions, then leave a comment below and I'll definitely make a video with close-up on how I do that. So yeah, you see that grown out one. So the way I did this one is the banana peel method. I held it down with one tweezer, and then the other tweezer I peeled the natural lash right off of it. And that's usually the one I like to do if I can. Usually they pop off really easily, just like you saw there. And I always do this step first because it's going to give a much cleaner look at the end if we don't have a bunch, anything pretty much like 3 millimeters or longer. If it's 1 or 2 millimeters from the eyelid, or the lash line, I'm not going to remove it. It's still going to look fine. But anything more than that, like 3 millimeters or longer, yeah, I'm probably going to remove. So personally, I like to start with the inner corners first. I just feel like because they're the hardest to isolate, I just like getting the hard stuff done first. So usually that's what I do. I go from one eye to the other eye, and I try to match whatever length I'm doing. So if I'm doing an inner corner, I'm gonna do another inner corner. Then I go out to the outer corner. It helps. I used to do one eye at a time. I would do like the entire left eye from left to right, and I would use a super fast glue so that it wouldn't get any stickies, but it didn't matter how fast the glue was. At the end of the day, if I wasn't fast enough for it, I was still getting, natural lashes stuck together, or I was just, the retention was really poor because I wasn't quick enough for the glue. There was a lot of issues that I had when I would try it that way. And then eventually I found a glue that was quick enough for me, or like the right speed, I should say, for me. But I just felt like my sets weren't even on either eye, or I would just spend more time on one than the other. I just never felt like I just never felt like I was happy with the way the sets were whenever I would do just one eye and then the other eye. A lot of people say they don't like doing one eye at a time because just in case there's like a power outage or something. That never happened to me, and honestly, for whatever reason, that's not even like an issue that I was concerned about. As you can see there, I was making a fan and I didn't like it, so I tossed it. That's something that I do like regularly. If I feel like the fan wasn't good enough or the base wasn't thin enough, then I'll just get rid of it. Like, I'm not gonna spend 20 minutes trying to save a fan that you know was giving me trouble. I have a ton of lashes. There's no point in spending 10 minutes trying to make a fan when you can just get rid of it and create a new one. A lot of times that's the quicker process. And you'll see throughout the video I kind of switch which tweezers I use for isolating depending on which part of the eye I'm doing, or just maybe the way my wrist feels. Like sometimes my wrist hurts in a certain position after a while, so I'll switch it out. As you can see, I like to do the fanning method off the strip. I pick it up, place it back down on another part of the sticky strip, and then I use a glue ring, which you can't really see in the frame. Again, this is my first time back making videos, so it's going to take some time for me to find like the right place for the camera, but you get the gist of the way I do it. I think some people call it like not the shimmy, but the rolling method. I like to call it tickling the feet. I saw it somewhere in a class that I took. I forget which class, but I really like that because that's pretty much what you're doing. As you can see here, I switch my tweezer. After a while, I kind of got tired of that curved tweezer. I actually never use that tweezer. I don't even know what made me use that tweezer for this video. Um, I I really prefer a straight tweezer, but sometimes I do like a curved tweezer. Just like I said, it depends on my mood. So I just now you can see how I use the glue ring right here from that angle. You can kind of see how I use it. Um, I like the glue ring personally for a few reasons. A lot of people say they like the glue ring because it makes the adhesive last longer, but I personally don't like to keep the adhesive for any longer than 30 minutes. That's max, but I try to shoot for 20, but sometimes I forget. But I really don't like to go over 30 minutes. I don't think that even though it stays super like liquidy, I just don't think that it's a good practice to stick with the adhesive that long. I can't imagine that the retention wouldn't be like at risk. The adhesive's not meant to sit out that long. There's regardless if it's in the glue cup or not, there's still gonna be moisture that gets into it. So I like my glue super liquidy and fresh. That one didn't get a good attachment, that fan that I just did, so I go in and do another one. Just like when I'm making the fans, and if I don't like the way they come out, I get rid of them. Same thing if they don't attach well. If I attach them a little crooked, and since my adhesive dries so quickly, like in about half a second, in certain conditions, if it attaches too quickly and I didn't like it, um, the way it got attached, I'll just try to remove it. And usually, if you remove it within the first couple of seconds, it comes off really easily. You don't even have to pull too hard. So there's still quite a few more minutes of me just isolating and then making fans and placing them. So I am going to just continue to allow this to run and leave it on fast forward so it kind of goes through. And yeah, I'll come back when it's closer towards the end and we're doing like the finishing steps. So at this point, I've pretty much gotten almost like all the lashes. I don't claim to get 100% of the lashes because the reality is you don't need to get 100% of the lashes in order to get a really full um, set. Not every single lash is what I call lashable. So that just means that it wouldn't be healthy to lash every single lash. Some of them are baby lashes, or some of them are just super weak, super short, super damaged. So you don't want to apply lashes to those. So at this point, what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that there's no stickies. If there are any lashes stuck together, whether it's at the base or at the tips of the lashes, I'm gonna separate them now. It's better if you do it, and if any fall out, that's okay. It's better if they fall out while you're brushing them. That's why I do brush them a little aggressively. A couple of my clients who have recently started going to my husband, they actually tell me that he's a lot more gentle than I am, and that's okay. Um, I find that especially when cleansing them, I'm a little bit aggressive, yes, but I try to be gentle to, for the most part. But when I'm cleaning them, I want to make sure I'm getting a really deep cleanse. So yes, I am a little bit firm. And same thing with um, brushing them at the very end. When I'm brushing through them, I want to make sure that I am getting in between every single little lash, and I am making sure to get all of the anything that wants to fall out, that's like on the bridge of falling out, like it's it falls out when I'm brushing through them. And then when they do fall out, obviously there's going to be a couple missing, so I go back in afterwards and replace them. I want to make sure that every single lash that, walks out of my salon with the client is really secure on there. I'd rather the ones that are, on edge about to fall off with me and they don't ever see them. The last thing you want is your client to walk out, get to their car, brush their lashes while they're looking at them in the mirror, and then have 20 of them fall out. Like they just paid you, hundreds of dollars. The last thing they want to see is their really pricey investment just like shedding right before them. One or two every day, even, up to five per day is okay. And that's natural because our lashes naturally shed. Plus, with wear and tear, you're going to see some, but it shouldn't be more than that. So at this point now, I have already misted her and fanned and dried the lashes, I believe. So what I'm doing now is I'm just like double checking that there are no lashes stuck to the bottom tape, and if there are, I'm really gently just separating them, making sure that I pull it off from underneath the eye where the tape is, because when I have her open her eyes or when I'm pulling the tape off, I don't want any lashes to be stuck to it. It happens all the time. If you don't check this step, if you don't do that extra step and make sure triple check, it's going to be really uncomfortable for the client, and it can hurt their eye and make their eyes water, which are going to cause or could potentially cause poor retention. So like I talked about in my last video, this tape is super gentle, and that's why I really like it. When I pull it from underneath the eye, it doesn't tug, it doesn't pull any natural lashes out. And same thing with the foam tape. The foam tape basically just slides right off, but yet it held perfectly the whole time and no lashes got, popped out. So it's like both of these tapes are pretty strong in the sense of like holding lashes down, but they're not so strong and so sticky that they tug on the natural lash. So here I am just one more time. After you pull the tape off, sometimes the lashes kind of get, I guess, moved around. So I like to brush them right before the client opens their eyes. I highly recommend brushing the natural lashes or brushing the lashes out before they open their eyes, because you don't want them looking all crooked and crazy. You might have done a great job, but it's really easy for the extensions to get really crooked. So I like to brush them really well, again, just to make sure none are going to pop off. And if they do, like I said, they do with me. And I kind of just fluff them to make sure they're nice and fluffy and soft. So when they open their eyes, they're pretty and they're laid exactly how they want them. You see that little flick at the end, a little cat eye flick? That is what she's looking for, because she does have like a more round, like I said, Betty Boop eye. So when we were doing a little bit more of like an open eye, it was really just accentuating her already really rounded eyes. So, oh yeah, there you go. Now I'm misting just a little bit more to make sure I get rid of all of the fumes and cure the adhesive as much as possible. Oh yes, that's so satisfying when they rub their lower lash line. Brushing through them, fanning, making sure that she doesn't leave with wet lashes. The nano mister shouldn't really wet them, but it can make the tips stick together just a little bit if you don't fan them and brush them. So yep, that's it. That's how I do the refill process. And once I've fanned her and I feel like she's ready to go, she can get up. Here's the before one more time. And the after. That pretty little cat eye.